Imagine going from showing off millions, flying on private jets, living the fast life, and being tied to one of the biggest labels in hip-hop, to suddenly disappearing without a trace. One minute you're everywhere, the next minute it's complete silence. No hit songs, no big deals, no hype online, nothing at all. That's the situation Blac Youngsta is facing right now, and the details are seriously wild. Word on the street is Yo Gotti's CMG label dropped him, and now rumors are spreading that Youngsta has been trying hard to get back in Gotti's good graces. At the same time, people are saying the money isn't hitting like it used to. The streams slowed down, the big features disappeared, and fans are starting to wonder if the rapper's finances are taking a major hit. That shocked a lot of people because this wasn't just some random artist trying to make it. Blac Youngsta was once one of the loudest names coming out of Memphis, but this story gets way deeper than rap numbers and label drama. This is a full roller coaster story filled with success, loyalty, rumors, setbacks, and a sudden disappearance that caught everybody off guard. His real name is Sammy Marquez Benson, and he was born on April 8, 1990 in Memphis, Tennessee. And we're not just talking about anywhere in Memphis either. Blac Youngsta came from McMillan Street on the south side, a part of the city known for being extremely tough. Life out there was serious, and he grew up with almost nothing around him. He and his younger brothers were raised by their grandparents because his parents weren't really present in their lives. Even with both grandparents working jobs, the family still struggled badly just to get by. Think about how hard that had to be. 2 adults working and still barely able to keep food in the house. That kind of pressure changes a person early, and it shaped Youngsta's whole mindset growing up. His grandfather even helped him get a small job at a local grocery store when he was only 7 years old, but things went left after the manager reportedly caught him making fake food orders so he could bring groceries home to his family. 7 years old and already worried about survival instead of just being a kid. That says a lot about the conditions he was living in. Growing up in that environment, the streets were always close by, and Memphis has a reputation for being unforgiving. Before music ever entered the picture, Youngsta was already surrounded by that lifestyle, but eventually rap became something bigger for him, a possible escape route from the struggle he had known his entire life. Blac Youngsta started taking music seriously around 2012 and dropped his first mixtape, Fast Bricks. After that, he stayed consistent and kept applying pressure with Fast Bricks 2 and Fast Bricks 3. Tape after tape, he slowly built his name around Memphis without any major backing behind him. No big label, no celebrity cosign, no huge budget. Just a hungry dude from the south side trying to change his situation by any means possible. Most artists grind for years and never get noticed, but Youngsta managed to create something that made people stop and pay attention. In 2015, he released a song called Heavy, and that record hit hard. The energy felt raw, the Memphis sound was all over it, and the streets immediately connected with it. The song started spreading fast, and suddenly people everywhere were talking about Blac Youngsta, but then something happened that took everything to another level. Yo Gotti himself heard the track, and according to people around the scene, he instantly saw potential in Youngsta. At that time, Gotti was already a major figure in hip-hop and had spent years building CMG, also known as Collective Music Group. He had studied successful labels for years and was always searching for artists with real energy and star power. Once he heard Heavy, it reportedly felt like he had finally found somebody different. But the way Blac Youngsta actually connected with Yo Gotti is the kind of story that sounds almost unreal. Youngsta didn't wait around for an introduction or some industry meeting. He reportedly pulled up to one of Yo Gotti's video shoots completely uninvited and started blasting his own music in the parking lot during the shoot. That takes serious confidence. Most people would never even try something like that, especially around one of the biggest names in Memphis rap at the time. And somehow it actually worked. Gotti later explained that before the video shoot was even finished, people around him were already talking about Youngsta because he made such a strong impression. Think about how wild that is for a second. He showed up out of nowhere, played his music loud enough for everybody to hear, and managed to get the attention of one of the most powerful artists in the city. That moment changed everything for him. Soon after, Yo Gotti jumped on the remix for Heavy, and that move was massive. In hip-hop, that kind of cosign tells everybody watching that the artist is officially approved. It was basically Gotti telling the industry, yeah, this is somebody I believe in. Not long after that, things became official. In 2015, Blac Youngsta signed with Collective Music Group, better known as CMG, and the signing itself was straight out of a movie. Instead of some regular office meeting, Gotti reportedly signed Youngsta while they were on a private jet. Gotti even posted about it publicly, welcoming him to CMG and telling him this was his chance to level up if he stayed focused and worked hard. For somebody who grew up struggling on McMillan Street, that moment probably felt unreal. Going from worrying about food as a child to signing a major rap deal on a private jet is the kind of transformation most people only dream about. Once Blac Youngsta officially joined CMG, everything started moving fast for him. His first mixtape under the label, I Swear to God, dropped in September 2015 and immediately helped push his name even bigger. The project had major support too, with appearances from Yo Gotti and Boozy Badazz, which showed people that CMG was fully backing him. This wasn't just another artist signing, they were clearly investing in him and expecting him to become a star. Around that same time, Youngsta also launched his own imprint under CMG called Heavy Camp. That move mattered because it gave him his own identity within the label. Heavy Camp became his personal brand, his own lane, and another sign that his position in the rap game was getting stronger. After that, he kept dropping project after project, staying active and keeping his momentum alive. Then came 2017 and things seriously took off. His song Hip Hopper started gaining major attention, but 2018 was the real breakout moment. That's when Booty exploded and pushed him into the mainstream spotlight. The record ended up reaching number 73 on the Billboard Hot 100 and even earned a gold certification. For somebody who came from deep struggle in South Memphis, those numbers were huge. Then his debut studio album, 223, landed at number 42 on the Billboard 200, proving this wasn't just internet hype. People were genuinely streaming, buying, and supporting Blac Youngsta's music on a major level. Blac Youngsta kept the momentum going with Church on Sunday in 2019, and at that point CMG was turning into a powerhouse. The label was growing fast, with artists like Moneybagg Yo climbing the charts, while names like 42 Dugg and ESTG were starting to rise too. It felt like CMG was building a full rap empire, and Youngsta was right in the center of all the action. His name started popping up everywhere. He worked with Tory Lanez, T.I., DaBaby, G-Eazy, Wiz Khalifa, Ty Dolla $ign, and more. He even teamed up with Moneybagg Yo for a full collaborative project, which added even more attention to his run. Everywhere you looked, Blac Youngsta seemed to be involved in something major. The growth was crazy to watch. Going from pulling up to a Yo Gotti video shoot uninvited to charting on Billboard and making songs with some of the biggest artists in hip-hop was a massive transformation. But while all the success was happening, tension was building in Memphis too, and that side of the story became impossible to ignore. There was a serious rivalry hanging over the city involving Yo Gotti and Young Dolph, another major Memphis rapper who built a loyal fan base independently and had huge respect in the streets. The back and forth between Dolph and Gotti lasted for years, and during that period many people viewed Blac Youngsta as one of the artists closely tied to Gotti's side of the situation. Back in 2016, Blac Youngsta added even more attention to the tension surrounding the Memphis rap scene after posting videos of himself in Young Dolph's South Memphis neighborhood while surrounded by security and displaying weapons in the clips. He also released diss records during that period, making it clear to fans that he was heavily involved in the public rivalry connected to the ongoing issues between camps. While Yo Gotti mostly stayed quieter publicly, many people felt Youngsta became one of the loudest voices connected to the situation. That detail ended up sticking with people for years. Then November 2021 changed everything. Young Dolph's life was tragically taken at a cookie shop in Memphis, and the news sent shockwaves through the entire hip-hop world. Fans, artists, and the whole city were grieving because Dolph had built a massive independent career and earned real respect from so many people.
The rapper Young Dolph is gunned down and killed at a South Memphis cookie shop.
There will be extra police presence in many parts of the city.
He was known not only for his music, but also for supporting his community and family. Soon after, Blac Youngsta faced heavy backlash online after performing Shake Some, a diss track tied to the rivalry, during a concert in Dallas while emotions surrounding Dolph's passing were still extremely intense. The backlash hit fast and became a huge controversy across social media and hip-hop platforms, and the controversy only got bigger from there. Not long after the backlash started, Blac Youngsta released a music video that instantly had social media going crazy. In one scene, he was walking through a cemetery and paused near a gravestone with the name Thornton on it, the same last name as Young Dolph. That moment sparked intense reactions online, with many fans and people from Memphis believing the visual was connected to the ongoing tension surrounding the two camps. The response was explosive. Dolph's supporters, members of the local community, and countless people online criticized the video heavily, and suddenly the attention shifted directly toward Yo Gotti and CMG. Everybody wanted to know the same thing. Was Gotti going to publicly distance himself from Youngsta or not? Rumors quickly spread across blogs and social media, claiming that Blac Youngsta had been removed from CMG entirely. The speculation became so loud that many people started treating it like confirmed news. Eventually, Yo Gotti responded online and pushed back against the rumors, saying there was too much fake news circulating and insisting that Youngsta was still part of the label. He also told people to stop dragging his name into the gossip. But even after that statement, fans noticed something felt different. Gotti defended Youngsta publicly, but his response was brief and careful. He confirmed Youngsta was still with CMG, yet he avoided directly defending the controversial actions themselves. From that point on, many people felt the energy around Youngsta and the label had clearly shifted behind the scenes. Now this is where the story really takes a turn, because what happened to Blac Youngsta after the Young Dolph situation wasn't some instant downfall overnight. It happened slowly, piece by piece, and that's what made it so noticeable. In the music industry, one of the harshest things that can happen to an artist is the silent fade out. Nobody calls a meeting and says it's over. The phone calls just slow down, the attention disappears, and eventually people stop mentioning your name altogether. Meanwhile, CMG kept getting bigger after 2021. Yo Gotti's label was reaching another level completely. They secured a massive partnership deal with Interscope Records, reportedly worth 8 figures, which showed just how powerful the brand had become. At the same time, artists on the roster were taking off one after another. Moneybagg Yo Gangsta's Pain dominated the charts. 42 Doug kept building momentum, and ESTG's buzz was growing fast too. Then in 2022, CMG signed Glorilla, and her rise was explosive. She quickly became one of the hottest new names in rap, with Grammy nominations, award show recognition, and major chart success. And while all of that was happening around CMG, fans started quietly asking one question: where was Blac Youngsta in the middle of it all? By 2022, fans really started noticing the difference in how Blac Youngsta was being positioned at CMG. On the label's compilation album that year, he only appeared as a featured artist, just a feature. For somebody who was one of the earliest artists signed to CMG and helped build the label's image during its rise, that stood out to a lot of people. Meanwhile, Moneybagg Yo was dominating chart, Glorilla was becoming one of the biggest breakout stars in rap, and newer artists on the roster seemed to be getting a huge amount of attention and promotion. People in the industry and online started reading between the lines. The major collaborations slowed down, his streaming numbers weren't hitting the same, and the heavy marketing push that once followed his releases didn't seem as strong anymore. Fans began questioning why Youngsta no longer appeared to be receiving the same level of support, promo, or visibility compared to the other CMG artists. That's when conversations about the Young Dolph controversy started coming back into focus again. Some observers believed the fallout from that period created long-term issues behind the scenes that never fully went away. Even though Yo Gotti publicly defended Youngsta at the time, many people felt the controversy brought unwanted pressure and negative attention towards CMG during a major growth period for the label. As the years moved forward, the situation around Youngsta started feeling more distant and quieter. He was technically still connected to CMG, but the momentum that once surrounded him seemed to fade little by little. Eventually, rumors began spreading online that he had quietly moved away from the label entirely, and fans immediately started trying to figure out what really happened behind closed doors. This time, it wasn't just internet rumors floating around anymore. Blac Youngsta publicly made it clear he was moving on and going independent. The story being pushed was that he had grown frustrated with feeling overlooked at CMG, especially while newer artists seemed to be getting more attention, bigger promotion, and stronger support from the label. A lot of fans could understand why that would bother him. Imagine helping build a label's reputation from the early days, standing loyal through every controversy, and then watching the spotlight slowly move away from you toward newer faces. That kind of situation can hit hard. To many people, it felt like Youngsta believed he wasn't being prioritized anymore. And in the music business, labels do not always have to say things directly. Sometimes the shift shows through budgets, promotion, playlist placement, and how often an artist's name is pushed publicly. But leaving a major label and becoming independent is a huge risk, especially in today's industry. On the surface, independence sounds powerful because the artist has more control, but the reality can get expensive very fast. Music videos, marketing campaigns, distribution, social media promotion, public relations, all of that costs serious money. When an artist is signed, labels usually help cover those expenses behind the scenes. Once that support disappears, the pressure lands directly on the artist. At the same time, people close to the situation started hinting that Youngsta's momentum financially may not have been as strong as before. His streaming numbers reportedly slowed compared to his peak years, and the major collaborations that once kept his name active in the spotlight were becoming less frequent. The money coming in from touring reportedly was not hitting the same way it did during Blac Youngsta's peak years either. Without major label backing and without the extra push that comes from a powerful distribution system, getting music in front of large audiences became a much tougher challenge. Little by little, people noticed him becoming quieter online too. Fewer posts, fewer interviews, fewer appearances, less activity overall. And when somebody who used to be constantly visible suddenly disappears from the spotlight, fans immediately start wondering what's going on. People began asking the same questions everywhere. Where did Youngsta go? Why wasn't he dropping music like before? Why did he suddenly seem so distant from the rap scene? But this part of the story goes deeper than music industry problems. Blac Youngsta has also dealt with devastating personal losses over the years. He has spoken publicly about losing multiple brothers to violence connected to life in Memphis. Those tragedies are the kind of pain that can completely change a person's mindset and outlook on life. Coming from the environment he grew up in, success did not automatically erase the dangers around him. Even while building a rap career, making money, and trying to create better opportunities for the people close to him, loss and tragedy still followed. Carrying that kind of emotional weight can affect every part of someone's life, how they move, how they think, the music they make, and even whether they still want to be in the spotlight at all, because fame brings attention, and attention can bring pressure too. In a city like Memphis, many artists have spoken openly about how difficult that reality can become. So when people ask why Blac Youngsta seemed to step away from the public eye, a lot of fans believe there were personal reasons behind that silence just as much as professional ones. A lot of people look at an artist falling off and instantly turn it into jokes or memes, but situations like this are usually way more complicated than they seem from the outside. In Blac Youngsta's case, some of the issues appeared connected to business, some were tied to career momentum, and some may have come from the heavy personal struggles he's faced over the years. When somebody is carrying that much pressure emotionally and professionally at the same time, it can completely change how they move and how visible they want to be publicly. Now this is where the story starts coming full circle. Rumors have been spreading that Youngsta has been trying to reconnect with Yo Gotti and repair things behind the scenes with CMG. After stepping away, going independent, and seeing how difficult it can be to operate without the full support of a major label machine, many fans believe he may have realized how much power and structure CMG actually provided during his biggest years. To be clear, there's no verified public statement showing Youngsta directly asking Gotti to bring him back, but people online have been paying close attention to the situation surrounding him, and many feel the signs are speaking for themselves. In the music industry, actions and timing often create just as much conversation as official announcements. Another reason the speculation became so intense is because Youngsta's split from CMG happened around the same time legal attention tied to people connected to the Young Dolph case was dominating headlines everywhere. Because of the timing, some people believed the separation may have been strategic to help create distance from controversy surrounding the label. Others think Youngsta chose to leave on his own and later realized independence was harder than expected. No matter which version people believe, one thing became clear. The situation around Blac Youngsta changed dramatically from where it once was during his CMG peak years. Blac Youngsta spent nearly a decade building his career with the support system of a major label behind him, so losing that structure was never going to be an easy adjustment. Since signing to CMG in 2015, so much of his success had been connected to the machine that comes with a powerful label. Marketing teams, industry relationships, playlist placement, promotion budgets, distribution support, and constant visibility. Once that backing disappeared, the difference became noticeable fast. That's one reason many of his recent independent releases haven't matched the same impact as his earlier CMG era projects. It does not automatically mean the music got worse. In today's industry, visibility matters just as much as talent. Major labels have resources and connections that independent artists often struggle to match on their own, especially when it comes to promotion and getting music pushed to wider audiences. So people started asking the obvious question: what happens when an artist leaves a label expecting freedom and success, but things do not go the way they planned? When the streams slow down, the attention fades, and the financial pressure starts growing, a lot of artists end up reconsidering their next move. That's why rumors about Youngsta trying to reconnect with Yo Gotti and CMG gained so much traction online. According to people discussing the situation, he may be trying to rebuild those relationships because the reality of operating independently turned out to be much harder than expected. In the music business, even talented artists with hit records and strong backgrounds can slowly disappear if they lose momentum and support at the wrong time. And honestly, the full circle part of this story is wild to think about. Back in 2015, Youngsta reportedly forced his way into Yo Gotti's attention by pulling up to a video shoot and blasting his music. Years later, some fans feel he may now need that same hunger and determination all over again just to regain his position in the industry. Then there's the financial side of everything, which is another major conversation people have been having lately. A lot of fans assume rappers who were hot in 2017 or 2018 are automatically rich forever, but the reality behind music industry money is usually far more complicated. But that's the part a lot of people misunderstand about the music industry. From the outside, it can look like every successful rapper is sitting on endless money, but behind the scenes, the business works very differently. When artists sign to labels, a huge amount of the flashy lifestyle people see online is often tied to advances, tour support, marketing budgets, and other money that eventually has to be paid back through royalties. Labels usually recoup those expenses before artists start seeing major profits for themselves. So even if an album performs well or songs pull in millions of streams, that does not always mean the artist is instantly collecting massive checks. If the label invested heavily into the artist's career, it can take years before the financial side truly balances out. Meanwhile, the lifestyle moves fast. Jewelry, cars, designer clothes, travel, entourages, all of that costs serious money to maintain. Then add family responsibilities and personal losses on top of that pressure. Blac Youngsta has openly dealt with tragedy in his life. And when someone is trying to support relatives, help people around them, and carry emotional stress at the same time, money can disappear quickly no matter how successful things once looked publicly. That's why industry slowdowns can become dangerous financially. Once the label support weakens, streams drop, touring opportunities slow down, and promotion budgets disappear, the situation can change fast. People discussing Youngsta's situation have repeatedly suggested that financially things may not be as strong as they were during his peak years, and that's difficult for anybody who spent their entire life trying to escape poverty. Imagine going from signing deals on private jets and standing beside one of the hottest labels in rap to suddenly watching your momentum fade while former label mates continue landing major partnerships and huge industry opportunities. That shift can be brutal mentally and financially, and honestly, this is the side of the industry fans rarely get to see. Social media shows the success, the chains, the luxury cars, and the viral moments, but it rarely shows what happens when the machine behind an artist slows down or moves on. As of now, Blac Youngsta has continued releasing music independently through his Heavy Camp imprint. In 2024, he dropped Black Sheep 2, continuing to push forward even while dealing with all the speculation surrounding his career and future in the industry. In 2025, Blac Youngsta kept pushing forward and released the Heavy Camp compilation project Checkmate. So despite all the rumors and questions surrounding his career, he never completely stopped making music. The issue, according to many fans, is that the response has not been anywhere close to what he experienced during his CMG peak years. The big label energy just hasn't been there. No major Billboard moments, no massive media coverage, and far less attention from the industry compared to before. Even his social media presence started feeling unpredictable. Sometimes he pops back up online, posts content, promotes music, and looks active again, then suddenly disappears for long stretches. That inconsistency only fueled more conversation, especially within Memphis rap circles, where people continue asking the same question: what's next for Blac Youngsta? And honestly, that's the biggest question hanging over this whole situation. Can he truly return to the level he once had without Yo Gotti and CMG behind him? Some people think it's possible because Memphis has a history of producing artists who succeeded independently. Young Dolph is often brought up as proof that an artist can build something major without relying on a label system. But there's also an important difference people point out. Dolph built his independent empire while his momentum was still rising and his popularity was exploding. Youngsta's situation appears different because he's trying to rebuild after his peak years already slowed down. That's one reason rumors about reconnecting with Gotti continue to follow him. Because in the music industry, sometimes rebuilding relationships can matter more than pride alone. Sometimes the smartest move is putting pride aside and reaching back out, especially when both sides once helped build something successful together. In situations like this, rebuilding a relationship can completely change the direction of a career. A lot of people believe that's the crossroads Blac Youngsta may be standing at right now, realizing that the structure, reach, and support of CMG played a major role in his biggest moments. And when you look at his full story from beginning to end, it really is one of the most dramatic journeys to come out of Memphis rap in recent years, from growing up on McMillan Street to boldly pulling up at Yo Gotti's video shoot trying to get noticed, to signing a deal on a private jet and landing gold records and Billboard success. The rise was incredible to watch. But then came the setbacks, the controversies, the personal losses, the tension surrounding the label situation, and eventually the quiet disappearance from the spotlight that caught so many fans off guard. What makes the story hit differently is that it wasn't one single moment that changed everything. It was a slow decline that happened little by little over time as the momentum, industry attention, and connections around him slowly started fading away. Now Blac Youngsta is standing in a position nobody expected a few years ago. Watching a label he helped build reach even bigger heights while trying to figure out whether the same machine that once pushed him to stardom could also help revive his career again. That's what makes this whole story so crazy. One minute you're one of the faces of a movement, and the next minute you're fighting to regain momentum while the industry keeps moving without you. No matter how people feel about the situation, one thing is undeniable. Blac Youngsta's journey has been filled with huge highs, painful losses, controversy, success, setbacks, and moments that completely changed the direction of his life and career. If you made it all the way to the end, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with somebody who follows Memphis rap culture. Also, drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Should Yo Gotti reconnect with Blac Youngsta, or do you think Youngsta can still rebuild everything independently? I'm reading the comments, so let's talk about it.